Welcome and thank you for coming this afternoon and joining us as we talk about an organization called SAFE, the Spokane Alliance for Fentanyl Education. I'm Julie Humphreys. I'm the communications manager for the Spokane Police Department. Happy to be part of this group who is lifting up this important message around fighting fentanyl abuse in our community. SAFE has partnered with many organizations throughout Spokane and Eastern Washington to fight the fentanyl abuse and to give our community resources to save lives. That's really what SAFE is all about. Quick background on how SAFE began. It was founded by the late Bill Hislop, a former U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Washington, and Marsha Malsom, a community member who lost her nephew to a fentanyl poisoning. Both saw the tragedy of illicit fentanyl, Bill from the legal side and Marsha from personal pain and loss. Together, they formed SAFE, and now they have educated thousands and thousands of people in our community and empowered our community with knowledge to address the fentanyl crisis. In a very short time since SAFE formed, which was only last year, they have hosted a leadership conference, a leadership summit connecting community members from very diverse backgrounds. They've held a youth summit providing students information on counterfeit fentanyl and services for addiction recovery. They've held a number of lunch and learns in the community and presentations at schools to educate people about the dangers of fentanyl. And then last fall, SAFE held its first fall festival right here at the Pavilion. It was a huge success, great country concert, and the second one is coming up the very first week of October, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. I'd like to introduce first the community members that are standing behind me this morning who are here because they are part of lifting up the SAFE message. They are involved, they understand what fentanyl is doing to our community, and they're doing something about it. So as I call your name, if you'd step forward or put a hand up, Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers, Spokane Mayor Nadine Woodward, U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Washington, Vanessa Waldrop, Spokane Police Chief Craig Meidel, Spokane County Sheriff John Knowles, Lacey Larson, the DEA Group Supervisor for the Spokane office, and Marsha Malsom, the CEO of the Ray Srudin Foundation. We also have 4 board members who play multiple roles. If you'd all step forward and give a wave, they are on the SAFE board. The Sheriff, Tracy, Mark, Rob Booth, Lieutenant with the Spokane Police Department, and they're all here because they have had fentanyl has been part of their work or their lives or something, and they're passionate about making a difference. So SAFE was created under the umbrella of 2 organizations, the DEA's Operation Engage and also the Ray Srudin Foundation. To explain the relationship of the 3 organizations, those 2 and SAFE, here's Marsha Malsom and Lacey Larson.
Good afternoon. DEA selected Spokane as an Operation Engage location about 2 years ago. Since that time, DEA has been working with local partners to provide the community with fact-based information regarding the dangers of fentanyl. Fentanyl is wreaking havoc in our community. In 2002, according to the CDC, more than 109,000 people in the United States lost their lives to drug overdoses and poisonings. DEA continues to seize record amounts of fake fentanyl pills and fentanyl powder. The drug cartels are lacing all illicit drugs with fentanyl to drive addiction and increase profits. DEA understands that it takes the entire community working together to combat the fentanyl problem and save lives. One of DEA's partners from the beginning has been the Ray Srudin Foundation.
Thank you. The Ray Srudin Foundation was started when we lost my nephew, Race, 7 years ago. For the past 7 years, the foundation has created many programs to remove the stigma of addiction, bring awareness of fentanyl, and bridge the gaps in the systems of care. The Ray Srudin Foundation and the DEA had the same goal: to unite the community in the fight against fentanyl by providing fact-based information and reducing the silos amongst our communities, organizations in the Spokane area. From this partnership and our work together, SAFE was created. SAFE, Spokane Alliance for Fentanyl Education, is a group under the Race Rudine Foundation. It's a group of community members, including law enforcement, teachers, government officials, medical backgrounds, businesses, and many other sectors in our community, all who saw the crisis of the opioids making the worst of our community that we deeply care about, and we wanted to unite together to end this crisis. Spokane is rich in resources, experts, and empathy. SAFE strives to connect diverse perspectives and expertise to address drug abuse more holistically in our community so we can end our tragic stories caused by fentanyl. SAFE's goal is to bring awareness about fentanyl and to give a skill set to Spokane community members to fight the fentanyl crisis. Together, we can make a difference. This group behind us has been amazing support, and it's a united group. We intend to beat fentanyl and get it to a part so we don't have to tell tragic stories of loss and overdoses and poisonings. I encourage you to join us on October 7th in a really fun-filled day and impactful. We are hoping to empower our community to learn more about fentanyl and help us in our alliance to become fighters in the fentanyl crisis and join us to be a unified front. To tell about the day of the event, I'm asking Tracy Richland to come up and give you a few details about the event. She's a SAFE board member and the executive director of Spokane Health Teaching Center. And we really appreciate her work on the SAFE board.
Thank you, Marcia, and thank you, Lacey. Thank you all for being here today. I am so excited to be talking to all of you about this event on October 7th. As we all know, Maren Morris is going to be our concert headliner that evening, but let's not also forget we're going to have local bands from different high schools here performing for you, as well as Sammy Eubanks, who is also very gracious in giving up his time for this event. There will be a variety of service providers who can give out information to families about how they can look for signs of potential drug use, what resources are in the communities if they need help, and then also food trucks, and who does not love food trucks. So that will be happening here on Saturday, October 7th. I believe the gates open at 3 o'clock. Community members can get online to the Spokane Pavilion website to purchase their tickets, and we get to see a great headliner for only $25. That is so amazing for these families when they're looking to come out to community events. So just really look forward to a wonderful event this year and to seeing as much of the community as possible join us. So now it is my distinct privilege to introduce our first speaker this morning, Congresswoman Cathy McMorris Rodgers. 5 years ago, while I happened to be working in her office, I had an opportunity to share with Cathy my family's story about a loved one, my sister, who had been battling an opioid addiction for several years. She listened as I told her about the numerous attempts at rehab, about my niece and nephew that my sister could not care for and who were ultimately removed from her care. She was there when Kristen didn't respond to our text messages or phone calls for several days, and we presumed that she was dead. And to ultimately hear the news that Kristen lost her battle just over 2 years ago to meth and fentanyl poisoning. And I know that we are not the only family that she has heard from. Our stories are not that different, and our losses are not insignificant. As the chairwoman of Energy and Commerce, Cathy has co-sponsored bills to help our communities support those who are struggling with addiction, to help educate our communities on the dangers of drugs like fentanyl, and supporting legislation that gives our law enforcement the tools that they need to hold the people accountable who seek to harm others through the manufacturing and distribution of fentanyl in our communities. As I welcome Cathy to the podium, I want to close by saying thank you for being here today. in support of SAFE's mission to be a part of the solution and education in this community on the dangers of fentanyl and other drugs. We look forward to having her continued partnership in this very critical issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy, and to all of the community leaders that are here today. I think it's really important that we come together, and I'm grateful that we are united in this fight against fentanyl. Whether it's Tracy's sister, Kristen, or so many others who've lost their lives because of this dangerous and illicit drug, we must protect every person, every family in Spokane. Fentanyl is just tearing families apart, tearing our community apart. And I was stunned when I learned that DEA had listed Spokane as one of 11 crisis cities in the United States of America for fentanyl. And then last December, I learned that DEA has identified 160,000 chemical plants in China that are producing the raw ingredients that make their ways to Mexico and then across the southern border. And there's enough fentanyl now in the United States to kill every person 7 times over. It's the number one killer of 18 to 49-year-olds. And the work that's being done in our community with all of these community leaders and the SAFE organization to raise awareness, to make sure that people are aware of how dangerous this drug is and how easily available it is on our streets. You know, I often share the story of Molly Kane. You know, she's a teacher here in Spokane Public Schools. And I know that she just started a new school year. She lost her son Carson in 2020, the day after Thanksgiving, because he thought he bought a pill on Snapchat. He thought it was Xanax. Instead, it was laced in fentanyl. And he died immediately. And he had his whole life ahead of him. He was just a thriving young man. And unfortunately, his life was cut short. And that story is repeated over and over and over. So the work that's being done across the board with all of these leaders, I'm so grateful for all of their leadership. In Congress, we're working on the Stop Fentanyl Act. It's legislation that would classify fentanyl-related substances as illegal in the United States. You know, it's a bit shocking that we have to pass a bill to do this, but that's the way substances are made illegal. But that gives people like Sheriff Knowles and Chief Meidel the tools that they need to help get these, and our U.S. Attorney, Waldrop, the tools that they need to get fentanyl off the streets, which is our goal. So that is important legislation. I was honored that Sheriff Knowles and Molly Kane have testified in front of the Energy and Commerce Committee on this legislation to help highlight the importance of this legislation, but also other action to get fentanyl off the streets, both here in Spokane and across our nation. At this time, I'm really pleased to be able to introduce to you the U.S. Attorney for our district, the Eastern District, Vanessa Waldrop, who's made this a top priority. We miss Bill Hislop as our former U.S. Attorney, and he had made this his life's focus. U.S. Attorney Waldrop is stepping up and making this a priority within her office, and we're grateful for her leadership. Vanessa.
Thank you, and I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to be here with DEA and our powerful community and law enforcement stakeholders as we launch our second fall festival with the Spokane Alliance for Fentanyl Education. I'm the United States Attorney for Eastern Washington, and I was born and raised right here in Spokane, Washington. My husband and I now proudly raise our 2 kids here, and we deeply care about this community. And right now, our Spokane community is facing an extraordinary challenge with the growing and continued influx of deadly fentanyl. The fentanyl crisis is the new face of the opioid epidemic, and the death and tragedy that we are witnessing is staggering. As the United States Attorney, the mission of my office is to build a safe and strong Eastern Washington community. And that starts right here with building critical partnerships to have both law enforcement strategies and Events like this wonderful community engagement strategy, proactive engagement to empower our community to protect our loved ones. So my job as the Chief Federal Prosecutor is to set strategic enforcement priorities to identify and prosecute the most significant drivers of violent crime. Drug trafficking and violent crime are closely linked. My team has worked with our DEA and all the law enforcement partners up here today to seize hundreds of thousands of poison fentanyl pills out of the hands of drug traffickers and out of our community. We are prioritizing the prosecution of fentanyl cases and vigorously seeking to disrupt the sources of drugs in our communities and to send a strong deterrent message to criminal drug networks. We will continue this effort, and every day my team is seeking justice in these critical cases. But we have to do more to stop the flood of these poison pills into our community. And that's what this is. This is the additional more, this launch that we're so excited to be here for a second time to continue the awareness that we're raising, because this is that opportunity to proactively work with our community to avoid the tragedy that we are witnessing on a daily basis. We have seen how trace amounts of fentanyl in a pill can kill a person, and we are witnessing these tragic deaths in our schools, our neighborhoods, and especially among our vulnerable populations. Fentanyl does not care what you look like, your politics, or how much money you have. These dangerous counterfeit pills are impacting people of all ages. It could impact a curious teenager who's ordering pills online, a college student who's taking a pill from a friend, an elderly neighbor who might be searching online for a painkiller. Drug traffickers are also adapting to social change and using Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, and other social media networks to sell these drugs and make them available in our communities. These fake prescription pills are easily accessible and often sold online. As a mother, I also worry about this. I'm working with my kids on screen time and internet usage, and like so many parents, it's frightening to know that these poison pills can be hidden in plain sight. It's never too early to talk to your children about drugs, substance abuse, and the serious dangers of these deadly fake pills. And this event on October 7th is exactly the type of positive opportunity to have that conversation with your family and with your loved ones. Because fentanyl is a poison that's being pumped into our community with devastating effects. And the United States Attorney's Office will continue to vigorously prosecute these criminal drug cartels who put our communities and our youth at risk in Eastern Washington. But today is a day for awareness, celebration, and prevention. So I'm so proud to be part of Operation Engage and the Spokane Alliance for Fentanyl Education to partner for these community awareness events where we are coming together to engage as a team and address the drug epidemic right here in Spokane, focusing on a message of hope and targeting our collective efforts to address the community's most critical drug enforcement priorities and most critical piece, saving our children and protecting our community. I'm so grateful to be part of here with so many key enforcement partners, and I have the opportunity to introduce our Spokane Mayor, Nadine Woodward, who cares passionately about these issues and has been a leader in addressing these for our community. Nadine.
Well, thank you all for being here to learn more about this very important issue for our community and so many other communities across the country. Fentanyl is a drug with deadly, serious consequences. Its addictive properties are unlike anything that we've seen before. One pill is all it takes to either get you hooked or to lose your life. So let's be clear, this is a crisis that is hitting our neighborhoods, our friends, and our loved ones. Fentanyl and counterfeit versions are indiscriminate killers. Many of you have heard my story of how fentanyl took a member of my family. Unfortunately, that story is becoming all too common. The state of Washington now leads the nation. We lead the nation in the greatest percent increase in overdose deaths. That's according to the CDC. In Spokane County, overdose deaths from fentanyl and other synthetic opioids went from fewer than 10 to 101 in just 2 years. That's why our state attorney general has asked the U.S. Attorney General to designate Spokane as an Operation Overdrive city, which brings additional federal resources to build cases against suppliers to do a better job of removing fentanyl from our streets. Let me provide a little bit of context about the foothold that fentanyl has in our community. Last month, as part of a Spokane Police Department investigation, the Special Investigations Unit and Violent Crimes Task Force executed 2 search warrants. That operation seized more than 10,000 fentanyl pills, over $120,000 in cash, 7 guns, one of them stolen, 4 vehicles, and the subject was arrested and booked for delivery of a controlled substance. This arrest is becoming typical in that violence and fentanyl are closely linked. Firearms are a constant with the dealers of fentanyl. The 2 units that I just mentioned have seized over 20 firearms during fentanyl investigations this year alone. This crisis is something that we need to fight on multiple fronts. Aggressive enforcement is at the top of this list right now to raising awareness about the dangers of this deadly drug. As another school year begins, parents need to know how deadly, serious fentanyl is and have critical conversations with their children. Teachers need to reinforce that message to their students. Friends need to help one another to make better and different choices in the pressure of the moment. And our community needs to know, because it takes all of us to beat this fentanyl crisis, working together. And one of the ways, as you've heard today, that we're going to do that, bring awareness about fentanyl in our community, is with the Fall Festival on October 7th, right here in this very spot at the Pavilion. We're fortunate to have country music superstar, I should say, Maren Morris, also Spokane singer-songwriter Sammy Eubanks, and other local musicians as the headliners of another really fun family event that brings together more information about fentanyl education, addiction recovery, and other services that are in our community, as we've mentioned, rich in resources, but bringing them all together in one place so that students and parents and families can hear all of that information together. So I hope that you'll be able to join us for this powerful event and help stop the scourge of fentanyl in our community and within our families. Thank you.
So we know that tickets to this Fall Festival are going to go very quickly. They are already on sale, and so if you would push out that message, I have a copy of the press release that you guys received a while ago with the official site. The only site to purchase tickets is the official Pavilion site. So make sure people go there, $25, which includes $10 towards the food trucks. I mean, it's just an absolute bargain. So we appreciate if you would continue to push out fentanyl stories. I can connect you with Marcia or anyone else here to do stories leading up to the Fall Festival, to keep this not just an announcement today of why fighting fentanyl is important, but also let's bring those stories forward as we move forward toward this concert. I will hand out these in a moment, but we have just enough time for questions. So please feel free to address your question to anyone up here, including the sheriff and the police chief, who we didn't hear from. But if you have questions for them or any board members, fire away. This is your chance.
As far as an average person goes who maybe has heard about the fentanyl crisis here in our community, doesn't have a direct impact but wants to help, are there going to be ways at this event where they can get involved in those certain resources? They just want to let a hand to the community?
Thank you, Marcia.
So I'm hearing you asking, are there ways to volunteer for this event or involved in the...
Yeah, I would say for the average person at home who maybe hears about the fentanyl crisis in our area, who maybe doesn't have someone in their family who's directly impacted by it but wants to help, how are events like these specifically kind of helping those people get involved and help their community?
First of all, as we mentioned, everything we present is fact-based, so we're giving everyone the knowledge, the education to talk about the fentanyl accurately, and that is a huge component of stopping this crisis, is having the facts and sharing them, not a scare tactic, but understanding how serious fentanyl is. There are a lot of programs and that will be here on the 7th too that you can sign up for. And you can always go to SAFE's website and we can direct people to as they want. But it's educating yourself and your community members, your family, your grandparents, your babies, everyone, so they have the facts about fentanyl and talk about it. Have a healthy conversation, not just one, but several. Thank you.
Step up a little. We're fighting with the sound check for tonight's concert.
Hi, I'm Steffi Burns with KHQ. My question is, on August 30th, our state attorney general, he sent a letter to Merrick Garland urging him to include Yakima and Spokane in a federal initiative addressing drug-related violence and overdose. And since that letter was sent out last week, is there any update on whether or not our city could be included in that initiative?
I don't know any of the operation. You mentioned Operation Overdrive, which I mentioned.
So if I understand the question, have we heard anything yet whether that those resources will be directed here? Was that the question?
Basically, drug-related violence and overdose.
We're certainly hoping so. We haven't heard back yet, but we are hoping that we will be considered for those resources, both the city and the county as well. We know we have a huge fentanyl issue here. The medical examiner's report shows it. You can drive on any street just about, especially in the downtown area. You can see people stuck in the throes of addiction. You see our violent crime has increased, and as you heard from some of the information earlier, we know that in these dealers, all of them are armed. And they're armed for a reason. They don't carry the guns for any reason other than to potentially have to use them as well. So we absolutely hope that we are considered, but we have not heard back yet whether that's going to be the case.